Okay, so today is finally the day. We finally have the changes to, well, pretty much the Crimson Isles. Crimson Isles armor becoming tradable, and all of those items that were previously corpse soulbound from the Crimson Isles are now tradable, and some other things too. So we're going to go ahead and take a look what it has kind of done to Skyblock. Now, I think the first thing which is pretty interesting to do is just simply go into the Bazaar. Okay, if I go over my sack, we can now see I can sell nether stars, I can sell all that leather cloth that I had going towards Gauntlet of Contagions, heavy pearls, and also Kudra teeth. And all of this stuff is, of course, in my sack, and that's why it's obviously showing I can sell it all. Now, the price of nether stars at the moment are around about 140k if you put an offer up, and about 100k if you insta-sell. I would recommend probably selling these things relatively quickly because they are going to drop in price. Now, as for heavy pearls, well, they're a little bit more expensive at 245k for an insta-sell, 338k for an offer. Now, of course, these are going to drop again. These are really, really easy to obtain. Just simply go to the matriarch. It's just people can't be bothered to do that. So, of course, that's why they're a little bit more expensive. And interestingly enough, Kudra teeth are... I don't think their prices have properly sorted themselves out yet, but the Kudra teeth are even cheaper. I would have thought that Kudra teeth would probably be the most expensive. Simply considering you actually have to do Kudra to get these teeth, and these teeth are what you actually need to upgrade the armor. But maybe you can just bypass that altogether now. For instance, this burning Kudra chestplate, burning crimson chestplate that I've got here. Well, I can now put this on the AH if I really want to. All I've got to do is create an auction, and maybe I should actually take it off first. That will probably help. Yep, and then we can simply create an auction and put it on the AH. Very, very interesting. Yeah, I mean, at least you have to actually have the Kudra tier requirement to go ahead and purchase this and use it, because otherwise it would be a little bit kind of questionable. Nevertheless, I don't really know how to feel about this. Like, I guess it's kind of cool, because if you ever want to then go ahead and sell these items that you spent so much money on, then you can. I don't know what the price of them are going to be like, though. I think we might have to wait a bit of time to see what they actually settle at. I'm going to see if there's actually any lists on the AH at the moment. Yeah, so we've got a 1010 Infernal Crimson chestplate, and that is selling for 1.4 billion. I'm not going to lie, that's, in my opinion, relatively cheap. I thought it'd be more expensive. Now, of course, it isn't starred, it's just Infernal, but I kind of thought that might have been a bit more expensive. We've got here a Mana Pool 8, Mana Regen, Mana Pool 9, Mana Regen 8, Burning Aurora chestplate, that's selling for 578 mil. I mean, obviously, it is a god roll in itself, and that's going to increase the value, but I don't know, I just don't really know what to think. I don't know what the prices are going to settle at. It's kind of an interesting one. But before we go any further, at the moment, we're actually trying to beat the population of Andorra with subscribers. The population of Andorra is around about 80,000 people, and when we reach 80,000 subscribers, we're actually going to visit Andorra, and we'll be able to claim that we have more subscribers than the population of the whole country, which would be pretty cool, so make sure to subscribe to make that happen. Also, if you are planning on purchasing anything from the Hypixel store, make sure to use code NITROS, it gets yourself 5% off. You should join the Discord server, it's linked in the description of this video. We offer slayers and dungeon carries, so if you need carries or want to carry and make some coins, make sure to join. Now, of course, it isn't just nether stars, heavy pearls, and Kudra teeth that are now on the Bazaar. It's everything that was previously corpse soulbound from the Crimson Isles. For example, items like the lava shells, and then also things like leather cloth. So the items to craft things like Gauntlet of Contagions, and then also the lava shell necklace have now become, well, tradable. Now, something else that's going to be really, really interesting is for those people who have done Infernal Kudra. I mean, for me, the most annoying part of then sorting the loot is, well, all of these attribute shards, which I've moved to somewhere on my island. Yeah, all of these tier 4 attribute shards that previously were corpse soulbound for some unknown reason where they still are corpse soulbound. Wait. Does this change if I take it out of my chest? No, it doesn't. So they've kept... That's really strange. I would have thought that they would have made all of these attribute shards now tradable, but they're all still corpse soulbound. For those of you who don't know, if you've not done Infernal Kudra, any sort of attribute shard that you get from Infernal Kudra is instantly corpse soulbound. For whatever reason, I don't know why. If you do any other tier of Kudra where you get lower tier attribute shards like 3, 2, and 1 from other tiers of Kudra, then they're tradable. But these tier 4 attribute shards are corpse soulbound, and you can see this tier 2 isn't. And I just was under the impression that because they're kind of unsoulbound in everything from the Crimson Isles, that they would also unsoulbind these attribute shards too, but they haven't. Whether that's intentional or an accident, I don't really know. Or whether it's because these attribute shards have been sat in a chest and not in my inventory or the auction house, they've not updated. I'm not sure. I guess the easy way to actually check is just look through the auction house and see if there's any tier 4 attribute shards. Oh, there is. Okay, so they must be unsoulbound, but for some reason the items in my chest just haven't updated. Ah, okay. So what I was thinking was right. That's really strange. I don't know. Okay, someone's even listed a Veteran 6 attribute shard. Ah, cool. Well, I'm glad they've done that. Panic over. If you have any attribute shards in your chest, then I guess that's kind of an L. Unless they just take a while to update. I'm not sure. Now, it would be really interesting to get everyone's opinion, just to see what other people are thinking. Like, I think on the whole, this is a pretty decent update. I'm just not 100% sure about unsoul binding the Crimson Isle armor pieces. I mean, sure, it's gonna scale to a point where people can't just buy any armor piece and use it, even if they're really early game, which is good. But at the same time, I guess change is always weird. I think unsoul binding all of the items is probably a good idea. I mean, if they were going to unsoul bind the upgraded armor pieces, it only makes sense to unsoul bind all the items, because some of those items are used to upgrade the pieces. I think for the most part, it's a pretty decent change. I think. I don't know, I'm not 100% sure what to think of it. I mean, one good thing is it's going to make Kudra a little bit more profitable. If you're to a point where you've already got all of your armor pieces upgraded, then obviously you can now sell those tier 4 attributes, you can now sell those Kudra teeth. Of course they're going to drop in price, but it's a little bit extra back from every single run. Also, if you have an abundance of nether stars that you've grinded and you don't really need them, and maybe you don't do Kudra that much, then you can sell all of those as well, which is nice. Of those people that have grinded Matriarch when other people can't be bothered, then massive W for you too. I just think like the prices of these nether stars and heavy pearls and Kudra teeth, I just think they're a little bit cheap at the moment. I really do. So I decided to ask users in my Discord server, you know, what are your thoughts on these changes? And this is what people had to say. Very good change. Fair enough. I think it depends on kind of where you're at and what you're thinking. Big money, that's true. I guess if you've got things saved up that you've not used, things that were previously untradeable, and then also if you were ever wishing to sell one of your armor sets that you've upgraded, I guess now's your chance. Good change? Yeah, fair enough. Horrible change? Yeah, I guess it's just, you know, whose perspective you're looking at it from, really. Fair enough. Good change, but it would clutter the AH with 4 billion plus sets. Potentially. I guess majority of people who have, you know, put so much money into a set probably aren't going to sell them, I would assume, unless they think they've made a big mistake. So I don't know how much clutter it will be. I mean, the update literally just dropped, and usually that's when people are most actively selling things, and there was barely any on the AH. Maybe people just haven't realised it's dropped. Would be good if not for the fact that it lets you skip quests by buying items. That's true. My guess is they're going to make it to require 1 bestiary kill for the boss quests, or a few weaker mob kills to get accepted, and 1 mil plus damage contribution on the boss to get bestiary credit. Okay, yeah, because there's bestiary changes too, let's not forget. Also, combat 42 to use infernal armor feels way too low. Like, honestly, that's that kind of armor deserves a combat 60 requirement. Maybe so. 42 does seem maybe a little bit low, but yeah, especially for infernal. Like, who is doing infernal Kudra at combat level 42? Not many people at all. It kind of seems like an obsolete requirement that was required to be put there, but for not really any real use. Rip Aurora Staff users, yeah, you now have to have a Kudra completion to use an Aurora Staff, which kind of makes it a little bit obsolete. W change. Good and bad at the same time. Good for lazy players and the one that wanted to sell their sets. Yep, true. Bad for everyone that went into grind to get infernal sets. Pretty much all players. I guess so. You can still grind those infernal sets. It just means that, you know, you could also skip all that time you'd be grinding and buy. But yeah, I guess fair enough. Now, the changelog hasn't come out, so something I do want to test is I want to go onto a different profile and see what the requirements actually say if I go to try to buy Crimson Isle set. Okay, so yeah, there's a Kudra completion requirement, then I assume also a combat requirement, which is interesting. You'd think they'd just probably settle for the Kudra tier completion. So maybe it's just for the infernal pieces that requires you to have combat 42. It just doesn't... It's kind of an obsolete requirement. I don't see the point in them even having it, to be honest. And of course, the actual changes to, for instance, Crimson Armor have now released. So now at 10 stacks, swipe in a random direction, dealing 1-time swipe damage to mobs in its path. So what this basically means is that Crimson Armor's swipe has been nerfed massively. Now, funnily enough, the Aurora Helmet is actually being buffed pretty substantially, as this Aurora Helmet is now giving us ability damage, which is actually kind of cool. And at Infernal, it's going to give us, at Infernal 15 stars, it's going to give us 52 ability damage, which is a lot more than Wither Goggles. At Infernal, it's giving us 40, which is slightly less, but gives you way more intelligence. So it actually means that Infernal Aurora Helmet is now better than Wither Goggles, which is pretty cool. Yeah, the cheapest Aurora helmet God roll is now 110 mil, which is actually it's been pretty similar to that for a bit now, in fairness. So unfortunately, the changelog isn't out yet, so I can't really link it. But if I actually see it before I have to go, then I will link it. But at the moment, there's just no changelog, which is kind of annoying, but majority of the changes we've talked about here anyway. Of course, there's been changes to Bestiary too. You'll notice that when you log on, you'll probably have some Bestiary levels to collect. But anyway, that's all for today. If you enjoyed today's video, make sure to leave a like, subscribe if you're new, and I'll see you in the next one.